Hey guys, how's it going? So today I am going to cover a little bit of news that happened today, that was released today, and it is regarding Nexon. You have probably heard about Nexon. They are a multi-billion dollar game developer and publisher. They are based in Korea, and they do some really big games, like they are the developer and publisher of The Finals, which is a game that's pretty big right now. They are the publisher for Final Fantasy 14 in South Korea, so they handle Final Fantasy 14 in South Korea, which obviously is a really big game. They also do some smaller games, like if we have a look over here, they also recently did Dave the Diver. You will know Dave the Diver, that's one of their games. They do a whole bunch of free-to-play, pay-to-win games, like Warhaven, Counter-Strike Nexon Studio, Maplestory, Card Drifter. For the most part, they do free-to-play games, but they do stuff like Dave the Diver and stuff like that. There's a whole list of games that they do. V4, Football Club Online, Godzilla Defense Force, whole bunch of stuff that most players, like most Western players, will not really recognize, but these games make millions and millions and millions of dollars in the Asian markets. Stuff like Mabinogi and Mabonegi Euros. Maplestory is obviously very big. Maplestory is big in Asia and in the West. Land of Wind, Bubble Fighter, a whole bunch of stuff. Basically, the only games that we as Western players would recognize is stuff like Final Fantasy 14, First Descendant, which I don't think is released yet. That's an upcoming game. Counter-Strike, obviously. Dynasty Warriors is a big one. Warhaven, Elsword, Arc-Age. All of those are really big in the West as well. So, really big company, multi-billion dollar company who does some really big games like The Finals. And they have been caught out manipulating their games, manipulating the drop rates, specifically in their free-to-play, pay-to-win games. So as I showed you, they have probably over 10 free-to-play, pay-to-win games, like Maplestory and all of those other ones. And yeah, they were caught out manipulating the drop rates in those free-to-play games, but not only manipulating the drop rates, they also made it impossible, literally impossible, to get what the item actually says. So this is the article in Korean, and it was released literally today, with the finding from the Korean version of the FTC. So basically the Federal Trade Commission, the governmental agency that is supposed to deal with stuff like false advertising, any consumer complaints, stuff like that in Korea. Those are the guys that made their findings and their decision. And they provide a couple of stuff here, like where they say certain stuff like plus 9% and whatever, you know, they explicitly state what the item does. and it's a lie. It's a pure lie. What the item states is not what in reality happens in the game. So specifically, this it mentions some other games like Bingo. They also did some investigations into their other games. Like I said, this is not just happening in Maplestory, even though Maplestory is the biggest one of their games, I believe. So it's not happening just in Maplestory, it's happening in other games as well. And fortunately, this article has been translated, so I could do like Google translation, but Google translation is not particularly good. Like there's some stuff here that like it just doesn't make sense. So fortunately, someone translated the things for us. So long story short, like I said, they have been caught out with manipulation of the drop rates. So if you think about any game that has a gacha system, for instance, like what's that other bad game, Genshin Impact. So if you take Genshin Impact, for instance, and the higher tier heroes, like the tier 5 heroes or the legendary heroes, will have a, let's say, 2% drop rate or a 1% drop rate or anything like that. And the lower heroes, like the bad heroes or the bad items, whatever, will have a higher drop rate. And it turns out that the drop rates that are stated in Nexon games is simply a lie. It's simply a lie. It's not reality. So another thing, in addition to that, in addition to the addition to Nexon manipulating the drop rates of the items in their gacha games, they were also caught with one specific item, even though this is only one specific item, but this is the only item that the report mentioned. It could be happening and probably is happening in other games with other items that Nexon has control over. So specifically, the lawsuit found that there is one specific item called a block or a cube, right here, a cube. And it says over here, one cube, I think, costs $1. Yes. So a red cube costs $1, and then a black cube costs $1.8. And the cube can be used to obtain ideal additional abilities on an item. But what Nexon did is that they blocked certain combinations on the item. So you buy this cube from the premium game store for $1 or $1.8, depending on which one you buy, and then you can use it on an item to augment the item. So you can get plus defense, you can get plus health, you can get plus mana, plus damage, plus stamina, anything like that. It augments your item, and it is a pay-to-win item. And they found that Nexon blocked certain very good combinations from being able to happen. So you can get 3 stats on an item. So that this cube item that costs $1 or $1.8 gives you 3 stats on an item, or it can give you 3 stats on an item. So if you are, for instance, a very tanky character, like a tank class in Maplestory, this specifically is to do with Maplestory, then you would want health. So you would want triple health or triple defense, for instance. So defense, defense, defense on your item. And then if you are a healer class, you would perhaps want to have triple mana, like mana, mana, mana on an item. And obviously, if you are a attacking or a DPS character or a glass cannon character or anything like that, then you would want attack, 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 or strength, 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 or anything like that. And as it turns out, Nexon programmed the game so that you cannot get specifically in this example that they provided here, you cannot get boss monster attack damage 3 times in a row. So you cannot get triple boss monster attack damage. You can get other stuff, like I say, you can get maybe triple mana or triple health or triple stamina or anything like that, but you cannot get triple boss monster attack damage. And it doesn't say that on the item anywhere. It literally does not state that on the actual item. So that is obviously massively misleading, because this item clearly states that it will give you random, it's random, 3 random combinations. So it re-rolls the stats, or it adds the stats onto your weapon or your piece of gear that you're using it on, and it is random. Obviously it is random. And as it turns out, it is not random. As it turns out, they blocked certain combinations from happening. So in this is attack, attack, attack. So you cannot get attack, attack, attack on an item. And this is, like I say, once again, with this one specific item in this one specific game that they found this, but you can be sure, you can be certain that this is not the only time, the only instance of Nexon doing this. If you are a thief, you will continue to do your thievery until you are caught. And this is now the first time that Nexon has been caught. So they've definitely been doing this. According to the lawsuit, they say that from the sales of the cube, this item specifically that we're talking about, that re-rolls the items, or that adds the 3 random stats onto your items, specifically from the cube, they got $420 million of sales in the past 13 years. So in 13 years, they made almost $500 million from the sales of cubes. Just cubes, nothing else. Just cubes, which is a hilarious amount of money. So all of these players who obviously buy the cubes, knowing that it is the best way to enhance your items, if you get the perfect stats like whatever, attack, 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 or health, 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 or whatever, all of these players bought the item thinking that it is truly random, thinking that there is that they can get the possibility, the stats that they want, the possibility is there. And as it turns out, they cannot get certain stats, certain stat combinations from this item. Now, that's really disgusting. Like, not only were they found to be manipulating drop rates, they also were found to be lying to consumers, because they bought items. They bought like this item, for instance, and the item doesn't even do what they state the item does. So that's clearly false as advertisement, and it definitely breaks a couple of consumer protection laws as well. Now, fortunately, the FTC of Korea did issue a fine against them for all of these actions that they did, 11.6 billion won, which unfortunately only amounts to about $9 million, which, considering that just from the sale of cubes in Maplestory they made $420 million, it is really, really sad that the FTC in Korea decided to only impose a fine of this amount, not even 12 billion won. Now, it is possible that there was a cap, because I know specifically in America there are caps on judgments, so it doesn't matter how many people they kill, it doesn't matter how many people they screw over or how many people they steal money from. In America there are caps on judgments, so even though they could have stolen money or whatever from a billion people, it is possible that the judgment will be capped. So even though they might be found guilty of a billion cases or a billion instances of theft, and every instance of theft could have a penalty of $100,000 US, there will be a cap on the judgment. So at the end of the day, they can only impose the maximum amount that the cap by law allows. It's possible, even though I don't know Korean law. Perhaps some of you who are watching right now can link the specific law if there is a law like that. But this just feels like a very, very, very small amount of penalty for a company who is multiple billions of dollars worth. You know, like we can have a look over here. They have a market cap of $15 billion, 15 billion US dollars. So fining a company that is worth $15 billion just $7 or $8 million is less than 0.01% of their net worth, which is ridiculous. That is like the police fining me or fining you or fining anyone on the street like 10 cents or 20 cents. You know, it is absolutely ridiculous. Like, you will not even think twice about doing what you were doing, because the fine is such an insignificant fine. You know, like if you get caught killing someone and they fine you 10 cents or 20 cents, what is going to stop you? Like, you're gonna kill people again, because the fine is so insignificant. Like, there's no penalty. A fine is supposed to be a penalty. It's supposed to inform that person or inform that company who committed the crime to not do that again. It's supposed to be a deterrent so that that company or that person doesn't do that crime again. And here they find Nexon basically 10 or 20 cents of their net worth, which is just really, really useless. Like, it's really quite sad. So I will put a link to these two articles down below. I will also include the original Korean version if you want to check it out, and then also the translated one. And you can go through all of the other times that they did some really shady shit. They apparently are also currently being investigated on another game called Bubble Fighter, which is another free-to-play game. So it seems that they might be facing another fine pretty soon for another one of their games. But like I said, like, if you're going to fine a company less than 0.01% of their net worth, then what kind of a deterrence is that? They're just going to continue doing what they were doing, which is really quite sad, unfortunately, because this Nexon is a very predatory company. They have, like, all of their games are filled with predatory monetization tactics, except the finals. But the finals is marketed more to Western audience, and Western audiences don't accept those kinds of gacha mechanics and monetization stuff, even though it is just the beginning of the finals. Give it a couple of years and I'm pretty sure the finals will have a battle pass and whatever else kind of bullshit as well that Nexon are gonna push into the game as well. So quite honestly, I don't play any of these games. Like, I don't play Maplestory, I don't play the finals, like, I don't play any of their games. I have played long ago, like probably more than almost, I would say, 10 years ago. I did play Arcade, which is another one of their games, but Arcade is a piece of shit. Like, it's really a bad game, so I stopped playing it pretty soon after I started playing it. So quite honestly, I would just recommend that you don't play any of their games, because they make free-to-play pay-to-win games for the most part. Like, most of their games are free-to-play pay-to-win. And when you buy any of the items in the game, you don't even know, you can't say for certain whether or not the item that you're buying is actually going to do what it says on the label, because they've already proved that they have no problem with lying to the consumers, lying to the players about what their items actually do. They impose limitations on the items that aren't stated on the item, and they manipulate drop rates on the gacha system, which as well is not stated in the item at all. So yeah, we will see if the European Union will do anything with regards to this, because of course the European Union a couple of years ago made a law that states that any loot boxes or gacha mechanics or anything like that must make their drop rates and the item obtaining rates, the percentages, publicly known. Now they don't need to do that in the game, so they don't need to display the drop rates or the obtain rates in the game, but they must do it on their website, or they must do it somewhere. So they must make loot crates and loot chests and that kind of stuff. The percentages to obtain the items inside the loot crates must be publicly known. There's a law, and Nexon definitely operates within the European Union as well. So I really hope that the European Union will go after Nexon for clearly manipulating the drop rates and lying to consumers as well. And I just really hope that the European Union will impose a larger fine than 0.01% of the net worth of the company. So yeah, that is pretty much it. That's the news. I mean, I already, like I say, don't play any Nexon games. They simply don't make good games, in my opinion. But I would recommend, if you are playing any of their games, to just stop, because it's not nice knowing that a company does this kind of shit. You know, it's not nice knowing that a company is taking advantage of its players and they have no issues about it. They've been doing this for 13 years. Maplestory, at least this cube thing, has been available in Maplestory for 13 years. I don't know when Maplestory was announced. Like, how old is Maplestory? Maplestory. It's a very old game, I know. 2003. So wow, that's actually 21 years. But they brought in this cube thing in 2010. So for 13 years, they have been lying and manipulating their customers, literally stealing from their customers, because each and every person who bought one of these cubes bought it under the assumption, under a false assumption, that the item will state what it's will do what it states it does. And as that turns out, that was a complete lie. It was a complete fabrication. So in my opinion, Nexon is definitely a company to stay away from. They also are doing games like Dave the Diver. I've played a little bit of Dave the Diver. It's not my kind of game in the slightest, but it is doing very well on Steam at least, so clearly it is a very popular game. But quite honestly, I would just say, in order to make Nexon think twice about their decisions, in order to make Nexon think twice about stealing from customers and stealing from gamers, just don't play any of their games. Don't buy any of their games. Don't play any of their free-to-play games. Even if you don't spend money in the game, you are still contributing to Nexon's net worth. You are still contributing to their public image and all of that kind of stuff if you are playing any of their games. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I will put all of the links down below. See you guys next time.